Objective for today, to solve mixture problems. And the learning targets are still proportions and percents. Example number 1. A 600-liter mixture of water and acid contains 5% acid. If 150 liters of water is added, then what is the new percent of acid? Step 1 is to figure out how much acid you have in terms of liters. That means you must multiply 600 by 5%, which is 0.05. Doing that will give you an amount of 30 liters, and that is of acid. Next, you have to figure out what the total is of the new mixture. Before it was 600. You're adding 150 liters of water. It is now 750 liters. To find out the new percent of acid, you must divide the amount of acid you have currently by what the new total will be for the whole mixture. 30 divided by 750. And that answer is 0.04, which if you change it to a percent will be by multiplication of 100 to get 4%. Example number 2. An 800-liter mixture of water and acid contains 12% acid. If 200 liters of water is added, then what is the new percent of acid? First, you must multiply your total amount by 12%. 800 times 0.12. Should only be one in there. 800 times 0.12 will give us an amount of 96 liters of acid. Next, you must find out what your new total for the mixture will be. That's 800 from the original, and you're adding 200 liters of water. So that is 1,000 liters of water. Divide 96 by 1,000 to come up with an answer of 0.096. You must multiply that by 100 to get 9.6. We are rounding to the nearest percent. 9.6 rounds to 10%. Practice number 1. A 325-liter mixture of water and acid contains 11% acid. If 100 liters of water is added, then what is the new percent of acid? The solution for the practice problem. Step 1 is to multiply the amount of the mixture by the percent of acid, 325 times 0.11. 325 times 0.11 is 3575. We started with 325 liters in the mixture, and we're adding 100 liters of water to it. So you get 425 liters of water. To get the new amount of acid, you must divide the amount of acid you have by the new total mixture, which is 425. Dividing by 425 gives you an answer of 0.0841 and on out. If you multiply that by 100, you get 8.41 and on out. You must round to the nearest percent, which means the answer is 8. Another example. 800 liters of a mixture of water and acid contains 9% acid. How much water must be added to obtain 7% acid? So again, we multiply 800 by 9% to figure out how many liters of acid we have. And when we do that, we come back with an answer of 72 liters of acid in the 800-liter mixture. Now we want to figure out how much water must be added to obtain a 7% mixture of acid. If we start with the 7% acid there, you have 72 liters of acid. We don't know what the new total mixture is going to be, but we do know that the acid is going to be 7% of it. When you set up the formula, you cross multiply to get 7x equals 7,200, and divide 7,200 by 7 to come back with 1,228.571429. That is the total mixture. Now we want to figure out how much water had to be added in order to get that. Depending on the directions of the problem on where you are to round, you can simply leave this where it's at in your calculator, the 10,028.571429, and subtract what it is you started with, which was 800 liters. So if you subtract 800 from that, you come up with 228.5714 and on out. If the directions say round to the nearest liter, then you have 229 liters of water that had to be added in order to get a 7% mixture with acid as opposed to 9%. Another example. 750 liters of a mixture of water and acid contains 12% acid. How much water must be added to obtain 9% acid? Find out how much acid you have in terms of liters to start with. That is 750 times 0.12. 750 times 0.12 is 90. So we're starting off with 90 liters of acid. But we want to figure out how much water must be added to obtain a 9% acid. 90 liters of acid will be in the new mixture. We don't know what the total amount of the new mixture will be after you add in the water. But we do know that it will be equivalent to 9%, which is 9 over 100. Cross multiply to get 9x equals 9,000. Divide 9,000 by 9 to get 1,000. So the total new mixture will have 1,000 liters altogether. We started with 750. If you subtract, you get an answer of 250 liters. Another practice problem. A 675-liter mixture of water and acid contains 4% acid. How much water must be added to obtain 8% acid? The solution for the practice problem, you start with 675 liters of a mixture of water and acid, with 14% of it being acid. How much water must be added to obtain 8% acid? Step 1 is 675 liters times 0.14 to find out how much acid you have in terms of liters. And that should be 94.5 liters. How much water must be added to obtain 8% acid? We start with 94.5 liters of acid. To find out the new percentage, we have to put it over the new total, which we don't know. But we do know it will be 8% of that total. So we have 8 over 100. Cross multiply to get 8x equals 9450. And divide 9450 by 8. 9450 divided by 8 is going to be, will be 1181.25. We started with 675 liters of a mixture. If you subtract that starting amount, you're left with 506.25. As in the practice or the example problem we did, we rounded to the nearest liter. Therefore, it should be 506 liters of water that is added. Another practice. A 1,200 liter mixture of water and acid contains 6% acid. How much water must be added to obtain 2% acid? A 1,200 liter mixture of water and acid contains 6% acid. You must multiply 1,200 by 0.06 to find out how many liters of acid you have. 1,200 times 0.06 is going to be 72 liters of acid. How much water must be added to obtain 2% acid? We don't know what the new total is, but we do know that we have 72 liters of acid, and that it is going to be 2% of the new total, which we don't know. Cross multiply. 2x equals 7,200. And we must divide 7,200 by 2 to get an answer of 3,600 for the new total. We must subtract what we started with, which was 1,200. You should end up with 2,400 liters of a mixture of water and acid. Actually, that's how much water should have been added. Another example. A mixture contains water and acid. The mixture has 7% acid. If adding 400 liters of water makes the acid 5%, then how much was the total mixture in the beginning? We do not know what it was in the beginning. It is X. But you still have to multiply that total by 7%, which is 0.07. That gives you how much acid you have in terms of liters. And then the next step is to find your new total. Well, it's going to be what we started with plus the 400 liters of water that we're adding. That will give you the new total. From there, it says that if adding 400 liters of water makes the acid 5%, then how much was the total mixture? Again, you have to start with your amount of acid, 0.07x, and put it over your new total, which is x plus 400. X is the amount of the original total. You know that by dividing those two, you will get the new percent of acid, which in this case is given to you as 5%. So it's 5 over 100. You must cross multiply to set up an equation to solve for x. It would be easiest to do this. First, that would give you 7x. And then going this way, you would get 5x plus 2,000. Now we have to continue up here. Move the 5x to the left, change the operation, keep the 2,000 on the right. You're left with 2x equals 1,000, or not 1,000, but 2,000. And divide 2,000 by 2 to get an answer of 1,000 liters. 1,000 liters is what you started with for a mixture of water and acid in the beginning. Another example. A mixture contains water and acid. The mixture has 12% acid. If adding 750 liters of water makes the acid 10%, then how much was the total mixture in the beginning? We don't know the total mixture, so it is X. And you multiply it by the percent of acid. That will give you how much acid you have in terms of liters. Next, find the new total. It's the beginning total, X, plus 750 liters of water added to it. So it gives us a new total, but we don't know what it is yet. Irregardless, you still have to multiply your amount of acid, 0.12x, by your new total, x plus 750, to come up with the new percent, which is 10. That is 10 over 100. Now cross multiply to get 12x equals 10x plus 7500. Move the 10x to the left, change the operation, and then you get 2x equals 7500. Divide 7500 by 2, and you come up with an answer of 3,750 liters of mixture of water and acid to start with. You must be able to also find the volume, or the surface area of a cone, I should say, the surface area of a cone. The surface area of a cone, if you're given the radius of 5 and a slant height of 12, is the following formula. Surface area equals pi r squared plus pi r L. L is the slant height. Simply plug in the numbers and evaluate. It would be surface area equals pi times r squared is 25. And then we have r, which is 5, times 12, which is 60. So you have 60 pi and 25 pi to make 85 pi, and evaluate that in your calculator to get 267.04 if you round to the hundredths place. Always pay attention to the directions and where you are rounding to. Another type could be if you're given the radius, which in this case is 4 inches, and the height of the cone, which is down the middle, if that were 10 inches, the formula cannot be performed yet until you figure out the slant height. So it would be 4 squared plus 10 squared equals L squared. L is the slant height. 16 plus 100 is 116. And you must leave that in your calculator after you find the square root of 116, which comes out to be 10.77 and some change. But leave that in your calculator and go through and do the formula of pi r squared plus pi r L. L is what you just found that's in your calculator. Go backwards in the formula and multiply what's in your calculator by r, which is 4, and then by pi. At that point, after you have done all of this, you should have 135 point some change. Then put a plus sign in a left-hand parenthesis and do the other half of the formula. That would be pi times r squared is 16, and that's it. Right-hand parenthesis, hit enter, and your final answer comes back to be 185.61 inches squared if you're rounding to the hundredths place.